Hello, SYNGAP land. My name is Michael Graglia, and this is episode 164 of SYNGAP 10, the SYNGAP1 podcast. Today is Tuesday, March 11th, week 11 of the year 2025. I want to start by acknowledging that we put out a press release today about the Children's Hospital of Colorado site for the SYNGAP1 natural history study called ProMMiS, Prospective Multi-Site Multidisciplinary Study. It's really exciting, not just because we have created another location for patients to go and be included in the natural history study that is incredibly valuable and was started at CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, making it easier for patients on the West Coast and in the mountain region to go. And if you're on the West Coast and in the mountain region, I urge you to go. Call Lauren Perry, who's the head of operations at SRF and lives in Loveland, Colorado, and helps support the CHOC relationship. Call her and say, hey, how do I get into this study? Lauren at curesyngap1.org, info at curesyngap1.org. Reach out to her. Make sure you take part in that. Not just because it will create valuable data that it will accelerate clinical trials and help all our children. No. Do it for you, right? Because it's a multidisciplinary study. So you're going to see neurology, you're going to see psychiatry, you're going to see genetic counseling, you're going to see speech, you're going to see OT, PC, all the T's. It's going to be amazing. So please, excited about the work that Dr. Megan Abbott will do at Children's Colorado. Excited about those spots. You guys have no excuses. If travel cost is an excuse, call us. We'll help pay for it. Whatever it takes, guys. We got to get every single spot at every single natural history study site. Philadelphia, Colorado, Stanford, all of them. We got to use those spots. We got to get our kids in there. We got to capture their data, and we got to use that to accelerate trials. So, and again, I want to emphasize, if you need help travel support, we do that too. Let us know. We have a web. If you're like, what is this ProMMiS thing you're talking about, Mike? Check it out. SYNGAP1 ProMMiS. Links in the show notes. I want to also talk about, in addition to data, right? It's super important to understand our unmet need. I will be talking to the leadership of one of the companies working on SYNGAP1, and they actually asked with a straight face, Mike, how bad is this disease? Like, are we sure patients are going to take part in a clinical trial? Are we sure patients are going to travel to trial sites and do an intrathecal injection, which is an injection in the spine? And you guys have heard me go off on this before. In fact, I might even dig out an old episode where I went off on this. But what I need is not to just give them my usual speech, right? I need to be able to put pictures on the screen and say, imagine you're the patients of this kid, right? This little boy who's half naked in his high chair, screaming and throwing things at dad and losing his mind and inconsolable. And this kid sinking his teeth into mom. Like, we are, as SYNGAP parents, we've learned to just not talk about how bad it is because it makes people uncomfortable and half-time doctors don't believe us anyway. And so why talk about it? But we have to talk about it. We have to make sure the unmet need of SYNGAP1 is well understood. So if you have a story you want me to tell them and you have some pictures or videos or anything that I can share with this company to help these guys understand, yes, SYNGAP is serious, the unmet need is severe, and we are going to take part in and support clinical trials, please reach out to me, Mike at curesyngap1.org. I want to include your stories. I want your take on some of the things that people probably don't appreciate about SYNGAP1, and I need your permission to share that with people outside of our community. I mentioned that we are in week 11 of 2025. That is relevant because every week I check PubMed and I see how many SYNGAP publications there are. Right now we are at 11, so we are at one a week, which is pretty good given all the turmoil. I worry that the rate of publication will slow down, but I think right now we're still seeing work that was done in 2024 before the crazy. So really excited to see that we have 11 publications year to date. The most recent is a publication out of the Willsey lab on gut dysmotility. This is very, very exciting for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, we were included in this in part because we had Citizen data on this topic. So if your patient is not enrolled in Citizen, go and sign up for Citizen right now. curesyngap1.org/citizen. Go and sign up right now. If you're in Citizen, go ahead and log in to the Citizen app and make sure that we are current on who your providers are and ask Citizen to refresh the data collection, right? We want, that data is gold and it just sits there, and then researchers like Dr. Mefford and Dr. Willsey and others, and I think we're in the process of getting Stanford in there. Virginia, we got to talk about that. That is such valuable data. But I want to come back to the Willsey paper. So I share in the show notes a link about Citizen celebrating this paper because it covered SYNGAP and others. But I want to just remind everybody, right? We now, and this paper is not just like, oh, cool science. This paper shows doctors that SYNGAP1 affects the enteric nervous system, causes our children to lose their motility, their ability to move the poop through the system and out. And as a result, our patients get constipated. And as you know, if you're a SYNGAP parent, you're nodding vigorously right now, our patients have worse seizures and worse behaviors and often cannot sleep, all three in my lived experience, if they are constipated, which is why, and I learned this from Aaron Harding, I have to give him props, I now give Tony Senna every single day. Now, Senna, if you're a neurotypical person and you take it, guys, you're going to have a major movement pretty soon. That stuff is potent. But in our kids, it just keeps them regular-ish, not even regular. This is one of the oldest supplements around, and it makes you poop. But two thoughts. One, if you're not giving your kid Senna every day, try it. It's kind of cool. Two, this paper is proof, as you're talking to your doctors, that SYNGAP affects dysmotility. It is a significant publication, and I'm so grateful to Kate McCluskey, the first author, who's lovely, I've met her, and Dr. Helen Willsey, the last author, who's lovely, I've met her. These are exceptional scientists, and we are so very grateful they are bringing their genius and that lab to SYNGAP1. I want to talk about drug repurposing just for a hot second, because it's really important. I was going over the videos that we've posted from Family Day, and I want to say the one on drug repurposing is just brilliant, which is unsurprising because, of course, it was led by Dr. Lindsay Wyzorak, who's Adeline's mom. She's an amazing, amazing SYNGAP parent and scientist, and so she leads our science and drug repurposing work. In close partnership with Dr. Catherine Heldy, our CSO. And so Lindsay runs that session. And not only do you learn about drug repurposing, which you need to care about because we need to repurpose drugs and help our kids as much as possible as we wait for these disease-modifying therapies. But she also brings onto the stage Corey Barnes, who you all know because she's our patient support lead, and then Zoe and Earl, a couple from here in California. And Corey is talking about her experience getting on the Ravicti repurposing trial, and Zoe and Earl are talking about their experience with Tanganil, which is this French supplement that we've seen tremendous results with. And what's the punchline? The punchline is both of them share great stories about drug repurposing. So if you're like, what is this thing? These are real life stories from real life SYNGAP parents about real life trials happening now. And Corey says something super important. She says, if you're a parent in this community, you got to pay attention. You got to sit up. You got to engage. Because when you get that phone call that says, hey, we have a trial and your kid will qualify and we want to know if you want to take part in it, that's not when you want to start thinking about this. You want to start thinking right now about the realities of this disease, that your kid has it. And if there is a repurposing opportunity or a trial opportunity or disease-modifying therapy opportunity, you want to be in it, right? We should start thinking about that now. This is not a theoretical. These things are coming, and they are coming fast. Trust me on this. I'm not even like, maybe one day, hopefully. No. It's coming, guys. I can see around this corner. So start asking yourselves right now, if I called you right now and said, hey, there is a trial, would you get on a plane and fly to, think of somewhere an hour away that you could drive to in 5 hours, wherever it would be? And would you put a needle in your kid's spine to more likely than not, get an experimental therapy, maybe a placebo, but eventually you'll get the real thing, blah, blah, blah. Would you do it? If so, great. If not, why not? What are your questions? Let's start talking about that now, guys, because when the storm hits, it's coming. But anyway, I've gotten a little off topic. Drug repurposing. Very exciting stuff. Great video from the Family Day. Watch it. Links in the show notes. And drug repurposing. If you remember late last year, we did a thing where we asked people to swab the nose to collect samples to do a big study with Unravel BioSciences. We did that. 30 patients, got some great data, was presented at our conference. We're still figuring out, there's a lot of hits there, so we're trying to figure out what to do with that. But more data is always better, right? A number of rare disease groups decided they also wanted to work with Unravel BioSciences, and they partnered through Combined Brain, of which we are also a part, and full disclosure, I am on the governing board of, very proudly, because I think it's an amazing organization. And so Unravel BioSciences, in partnership with Combined Brain, is at no cost to patients, collecting more samples to get a huge data set so they can look at drugs that might hit across indications. And I am a huge proponent of this. I think this is amazing work. And it gives more SYNGAP families a chance to donate a sample to get us more data on SYNGAP, right? So there is we did a podcast. Everyone has a podcast, right? So Unravel has a podcast. We did a podcast discussion for that. I gave you a short link in the show notes of just like a 1-minute teaser, a long link of the whole discussion, which is about an hour. And that's the CEO of Unravel, Dr. Novak, the CSO of Combined Brain, Dr. Falzer, myself, and Kate, who's the exceptional parent leader from the Med13L community. And then there's also a LinkedIn post about what we do that maybe you could, comment on, reshare. Resharing these things is so important. So, but Mike, great, I want to do it. How do I get the swab in? Well, that brings me to the Roadshow, right? Back to Combined Brain and how brilliant and effective it is. Combined Brain I've lost track of how many members, which is funny because I think I'm on the membership committee, but like a lot of members, a lot of different PAGs. And they have conferences, much like we do. And so what Combined Brain did is they said, sending a phlebotomist to this house and that house and this house and that house, too much work, too much money. Let's go to these conferences and collect the samples ourselves. And then patients from other groups who aren't even going to the conference can come to that conference and they can give samples. And we can't just send you to your local hospital. They won't touch it. If it's not their study, they won't touch it. And we can't send you to the local labs, whatever the lab's called. Why not? Because these guys are clueless. Number one, they don't know how to take blood from our kids. Number two, we need special handling on these samples. We need them double spun and all kinds of cool stuff. And our phlebotomy team at Combined Brain knows how to do that. And by the way, our phlebotomy team, these aren't like, phlebotomists we hire locally. These are like world-class, well-trained. Like one of the people who's there is Dr. Rachel Heilman, who's a PhD in pharmacy. And she was a rare mom, and unfortunately, she lost her child Rory to another disease. But Rachel is like a hero of rare disease. We got to give that woman a big award. And she shows up in like crazy costumes and engages with the kids, and she's just magic. And so this is the kind of caliber and quality that Combined Brain brings. But back to the Biorepository Roadshow. This team flies to these conferences and collects samples. They've done it at our conference for a couple of years now. They are exceptional. And this year we're doing it again. That's my point. And they're going to collect blood. They're going to collect maybe nasal nitrous oxide, if you remember that study. And they're going to be able to do swabs for the Unravel study. Very exciting. So I'm just going to rattle off dates and cities. I'm not even going to tell you which conference. It doesn't matter. Links in the show notes. Check it out. If you are in one of these cities on these dates, please go to this roadshow. Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, April 24. Westminster, Colorado, June 14 and July 19, oddly enough. St. Louis, Missouri, June 18. Phoenix, Arizona, hi Beata, June 27th. Boston, Mass, July 10th. Hey, actually, I'm going to be there then, now that I think about that. No, I'm not. I'm going to be in Colorado. Whatever. There it is. Colorado, July 18th. Windsor Locks, Connecticut. Never heard of it. July 19th. And then, of course, the SRF conference, if you're coming there, December 4th and 5th. And by the way, we want samples from the kid. We want samples from siblings. We want all the things. So no cost to you. Please, we want your blood. We want your breath. We want your saliva. We want your nasal swabs, all the things, Biorepository. And that's how you would get involved in the Unravel study. And to learn about the Unravel study, you watch the podcast links in the show notes. A lot of cool stuff on drug repurposing. Let's keep going. Commercial break. SRF is amazing. All of his work is done because SRF, me and the team, we work, and all the volunteers, there's 100 volunteers, literally 100. It's crazy. We work so hard. And but we need good reviews so that newly diagnosed parents can check us out and realize that they're working with good people. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes, curesyngap1.org/GNP for great nonprofits. Click on that link, go to that website, write a paragraph about some positive experience you've had with SRF, give us 5 stars, hit submit. That's all I got to do. Don't just, that's all I'm asking you to do. We need a certain amount of 5-star reviews on that platform in order to get a little badge for our website that helps people know we're great. Please do that. All right, moving on. ICD-10 codes. This is a pretty upbeat episode. If you remember episode 163, less upbeat, frankly, because I was talking about the federal debacle that we're currently experiencing with funding. One of the things I said in that as an offhand comment was that one of the reasons we should be hopeful to the SYNGAP community is the progress we've already made. The progress we've already made. That includes, but is not limited to, an ICD-10 code that by the grace of God and the hard work of a lot of good people, we got out of the CDC. And I said in passing in that podcast, good luck getting an ICD-10 code out of the CDC because they already don't like giving them out. And under the current situation, I'd be amazed if the meeting even happened. Guess what? The next meeting just got canceled, and that's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because a lot of rare disease groups and other groups with who need an ICD-10 code for reasons that I've elaborated on before aren't going to be able to get the meeting. And the meeting, this is a big semi-annual meeting where the huge presentations and experts come, and then the committee reviews it, and the committee makes recommendations about ICD-10 codes. This is a massive deal. And the fact that meeting was canceled is really heartbreaking. And they've said the next meeting's not canceled, so come back at the end of the year. But let's wait and see how that one goes. And I think this is a reason why SRF and others need to work on getting disease-specific SYNGAP1 codes. We thought we had one, but at the end, the ICD-11 committee put us into a bucket, which is disappointing. But anyway, if you didn't watch episode 163, it's important. One of the other cuts that's happening right now, and it's part of the continuing resolution that, as I speak, has gone from Congress to Senate for review, includes a big cut on the CDMRP. I won't even pretend to remember what that means, but basically it's a chunk of change, a big chunk of change, hundreds of billions at DoD that is reserved for rare disease funding, because of course the good people in the good service people in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, all the things, have kids and families, and some of them have these diseases, right? So that is historically been a big chunk of change that has been able to be used really efficiently on rare disease research, and that's getting cut in this ostensibly clean continuing resolution, which honestly is not that clean. So that's a setback. Another big setback is Medicaid. Medicaid can't wait, guys. And if the cuts that are being talked about are going to result in significant cuts to Medicaid, and maybe if your kid's 0 to 20, you're like, okay, I don't think I need Medicaid. You're wrong. Your kid's going to be living off Medicaid from 20 to 64 until they go on to Medicare at 65, right? And you don't want to hear this from me. One of our incredible moms, Monica Meyer, she's her son Michael is, I think, 40-ish, and she called me and she said, Mike, I'm really stressed out about Medicaid. I said, Monica, I'm stressed out about Medicaid too. She said, can you talk about it? I said, honestly, I'd rather you talked about it because you're so good at this. She's a professional advocate. So she very kindly sent me a video, which we're going to drop into the SYNGAP 10Q right after this. So this is episode 164. Right after this, we're going to drop in Monica's 10-minute talk, episode 165. It's a great one. She uses slides. She's on screen. It's really worth your time. It's really worth your time to watch that and understand through the case study of Michael how critical Medicaid is for our kids. And if it really gets cut substantially, just stopping and thinking through what that means for the lives of SYNGAPians over the age of 20 or whatever age they go on to Medicaid because the school system's gone. On that happy note, thank you, Monica, for doing that podcast. Thank you all for listening. Hang in there, do the biorepository, read the gut motility paper, print it out, take it to your docs. And if you are on the western side of the United States, call Lauren Perry and get yourself signed up for the Children's Colorado Natural History Study. Thank you again for all your support of the SYNGAP Research Fund.